Recorded at the Rec W in Chillicothe, Ohio. This is the Ohio Vibe Entertainment Podcast. Each episode will feature an Ohio-based band, musician, comedian, actor, or other entertainer. If you would like to appear on the podcast, email us at submissions@theohiovibe.com. Submissions@theohiovibe.com. On this episode of the Ohio Vibe Podcast, we had a very insightful and fun talk with Ohio music legend Paul Remy. Paul is known for his work as the bassist and co-vocalist with Southern Ohio metal pioneers Millenia, the DanHaters, Grimstone, and most recently as the bassist of MG Flash. Now in 2024, Paul is releasing his first solo album with a release party and performance on Saturday, April 6, 7:30 p.m. at Wagners Roadhouse on Pleasant Valley Road in Chillicothe.
Let's talk about your new album. It's coming out.
Well, yeah, I've been working on it for 16, 17 years probably. It's all I wrote, recorded, and performed every note. It's called Wood and Lightning because there's acoustic songs and there's electric songs on there, but it's mostly acoustic, kind of singer-songwriter kind of stuff. There's some electric songs. It's got drum programming and lead guitar, and I'm not much of a lead player, but I did it. It's just kind of been a labor of love I've always wanted to do since I was, I've always played in metal bands and sang screaming metal or played bass in metal or rock bands. And at some point after I got nodules on my vocal cords. I've had surgery a couple times. And the last time I got surgery, they suggested maybe I see a voice coach and just see how I'm doing things. And I don't know if it's funny because of, I don't know if you guys are fans of Lorna Shore at all, but Will Ramos, killer death metal vocalist and wide range. Well, he just posted a video where they're running the camera up his nose and down his throat, and he's doing death growls and stuff. Well, they did that to me. There's a ear, nose, and throat specialist in Columbus who kind of specializes in singers, and they ran the camera up my nose and down my throat, and I'm doing Judas Priest highs and all this stuff. And I just seen that video like the other day, and it just reminded me. But anyway, the point is, when I went to this coach in Columbus, and she's a alumni from the Ohio State orchestra or band or all that stuff over there, and it kind of taught me to be able to sing a little bit quieter, because I've always, like I said, I've been in screaming metal bands, 2 guitars, the loudest drummer you can get, and it gave me control that I didn't have before. And then I was like, well, I can do some of these acoustic songs. I never really had the confidence to be able to do that kind of thing. And then I just, knocking on heaven's door, start doing acoustic. And like I said, I've been playing bass for probably 15 years at that point. It's not like I was some novice, but this was all new. And then I wrote a song, and I was like, well, that's not too bad. And then I wrote another song, and 16 years later, here we are. Yeah. So some of those songs I recorded literally 10 years ago, and then some of them I just recorded 8 months ago.
Wow.
So
okay.
Sweet.
Cool. So you're going to do a show to support it?
Yep, got a show April 6th at Wagners down in Frenchtown.
Yeah.
Charlie Manring, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. Awesome artist. Yeah. He's going to open up the show, and it's weird because Charlie's actually talented. It's like I'm a hack. I write. I think that my songs are okay, and I do all right. But Charlie can really he can play and he can sing and he can do all this stuff. So it's a little bit. It's like I should be going on before him, but it's going to be a really fun show, and a lot of people from where we have our day job is going to come out, and a lot of my metal friends from the Columbus and Chillicothe scene are going to be there, and it's going to be my 50th birthday 2 days later. So after I'm done playing, it's going to be my party.
Nice.
I'm not known for being a big drinker, but I'll probably do a shot or two. So But it's exciting because here's the thing. I've never done this. You know, I've never done a solo show. I don't do that. I'm a band guy. And I like to go down across from Hometown Hibachi once in a while and busk. That's something. Oh, yeah. When COVID was going on, we hadn't played, and MG Flash hadn't played, my old band. And it was just like, playing music's a big part of my mental health. You know, it's a lot of musicians are like that. A lot of artists are like that. And it's part of, you know, I get chills just talking about it. It's like, your songwriting and performing, it's part of who you are. It's not even necessarily something you like to do. It's like breathing. You don't think about breathing. You got to do that. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? I've never done that before. I'd like to do that. So I grabbed an acoustic and I went down and I sat there across from Hometown where the old Page News used to be. And I started playing songs, and it was like one of the funnest things I'd ever done. And people stopped the car and ran out and threw a couple dollars in my guitar case. And I mean, heck, it was one of my most, by the hour, it was one of my most lucrative gigs I'd ever done in my life. So I got the idea, you know, I've been wanting to put this album out, and I finally got the song. I've had the songs recorded for a while. Like I said, I had the last one recorded about 8-9 months ago, but I had Noise, and one of the tracks I actually recorded here. There's 2 songs on there that I recorded here at the Rec W now, but when it was the workshop. Yeah, recording workshop, yeah. And the piano song, and it was something that I couldn't recreate, because just right across from where we're at used to be the most gorgeous baby grand piano ever. And it ended up on my old band's, on 2 songs on the Millenia CDs. Played piano on something else that was on there, but I came in, I recorded this song, and I couldn't really, I mean, I got a nice keyboard, but it's just not the same. Right. But it had this noise, and nobody could find the basic tracks to it anymore. It's here somewhere in one of these hard drives, but nobody could find it. And finally, my friend Tim Holsinger from Sweetwater used to play in Goat Whore and a lot of bands around here back in the day, Psycho Scenario, and played in Suffer. Real good friend. He's producing, and he's got a recording studio that he works out of in Cleveland. I can't think of the name of it offhand, but he got the noise out of that track for me, and that was kind of my holdup. Really, or this would have came out a year ago. Wow. And then there's another song. I think the last song on the album I recorded here with Brian Brody, who was a longtime collaborator that kind of produced all the MG Flash records and stuff. Oh, okay. Yeah. And I thought about re-recording it, and it's not like my performance is not perfect, and some of it was a student mix, and some of it's a little bit weird, but I just kind of it just so it's the last song on the record, and it just so happens to be the first song that I ever wrote for this album. Oh. And I just I don't know. There's sometimes charm in imperfection. So
probably had a vibe. So
yeah. I think so. And I kind of remember being here and recording it. And this place, I mean, I'm going off on a tangent, but I mean, this place is kind of sacred to me. And
definitely, yeah.
I've recorded out here like 300, 400, 500 times, like since '92. It's crazy to think about, and just the resource that everybody's got a computer and some kind of recording device in their home, but it wasn't like that in the '90s. Right. And you come out here and you're meeting people from all over the world. Like, I mean, I met people from Japan, South Africa, Scotland, Ireland. It's crazy. Yeah. And you record here, and you have this resource, and there's people in big cities that haven't logged the studio time I have, at least not then, So it's, I don't know. And that's what's cool about being here with you guys right now. So,
have you ever wanted to be a record producer in a studio? Or how about being involved in live event production for concerts, theaters, or houses of worship? Maybe even creating sounds for movies seen on Netflix, Hulu, and Disney? Ever wanted to make content for TV, broadcast, podcasting, or streaming? There is a school for you in Chillicothe, Ohio. It's called the Rec W. We offer short-term classes studying the art and business of music while working hands-on in our world-class recording studios. Book your free tour now by calling 740-835-4455 extension 2, or find us on Facebook and Instagram. or at therecw.com. See you soon and mix on. That's therecw, 740-835-4455.
The Rec W. Life changing education.
Our buddy was Joe Waters' son, Dave.
Oh,
Dave
yeah.
Waters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that did our Blue Youth album and stuff like that. Got us hooked up with some stuff.
He would sneak us in
Yeah.
here at night.
Yeah. Come here and spend all night and weekends.
Well, it used to be you would find out with some of your buddies you're recording too, and you just
come in and
stop
hang
by
out.
and
Hang out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know some of the greatest times of my life, and all this time that we spent here, and it's just I'm glad I don't take things like that for granted. I did at the time, but you know, you look at it and you just really know that it's special, and it's not an experience everybody else
Right.
gets.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And with this place to be in basically our backyard,
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of history here and a lot of coolness is there,
Yeah.
and I'm just glad it's still.
I mean, even when we were here last year, I would still just walk around because there are CDs hanging around us of past students that have worked on like Kid Rock. I'm just looking now, Kid Rock, NSYNC, Nine Inch Nails. I mean, it goes on and on.
I would come out
So-
here and I'd look at all these, the past students and whether they were first engineer or producers or whatever they did on there. And it's like Jim Marshall or John Marshall from Metal Church is out there. And I'm thinking, damn, I wish I'd have known when he was recording out here or when he was a student, that would have been, that would have been cool. And you just think about these different people and
Yep. I mean, it's just.
you feel like part of history a little bit,
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's awesome that all these people they can trace, they learned how to do stuff that they used on all this stuff that's hanging up here.
Right here. Yep. All their knowledge came from here, hands
Started
on.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
can you talk about some of the songs, like specifics, or do you want to get into that? Or
it's weird because I hadn't decided. It's going to be like I was mentioning. I don't really do this. This is weird. It's my first show, and it's and I got a couple other things booked. I'm doing the Butterfly Bash, which is a thing that Christy Ott puts on in honor of her sister every year, and my old band MG Flash played it, every year, and it's just it's a really good time. And so I mean, I got a couple. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this or I mean, I'm sure I'll do some shows here or there. And I hadn't decided on how detailed I was going to get on, like as I'm playing the songs, but it's going to be really laid back. And I mean, I'm playing a couple covers, and I mean, I got about an hour's worth of material, and that's what, to me, I'm never going to be one of these 3-hour guys that go, I just can't do that. I don't have that kind of, my voice can't hold up that long. I get bored. No one wants to hear me go on that long, and it's just not my thing. And so I'll probably talk about a few of these, but it's like, the first song, I almost always write from like a first person perspective, even if it's not exactly like autobiographical, if that makes any sense. It's like, I still kind of write from putting myself into that person.
Yeah.
But On the Run, the first one, it's a story song. I don't really write story songs. It's kind of about a bank robbery or a jewel heist that kind of goes wrong. And there's some symbolism in the music of how like there's not a chorus in a certain spot, and that's kind of where he's like trying to get away. And there's like, if you know, you know, but if you don't know, it just kind of, it's the mood, it's just kind of some subtle stuff. And that's kind of different for me. And then She's Got Away, that was the first song I ever wrote from a happy spot. I don't write happy music. I've never been, I write music when I'm hurt, when I'm mad, when I'm in my head.
Yeah.
And that was the first song that I'd ever written that was like, it's kind of like a love song. And it's really gotten people that's heard it, they really seem to like it. And it's just like a goofy little love song to me in a way, but it's special because it means a lot, and it's about a certain person, but it's also broad too, where there's like other experiences too. So you can't just point just to one person, but it mostly is. It's just kind of that. I try to keep things a little bit ambiguous when I write, but sometimes you hit it right on the head and sometimes you don't.
Coming in and out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, and like I mentioned, On the Run, that's one of the songs that's got a lot of electric stuff in it. It's got lead guitar and it's got bass, and there's not a whole lot of bass on this record, which is weird because I'm a bass player, but Got No Fire, same way. It's got full instrumentation. It's just, it's just kind of about burning out, and you've put so much into something and then you just got nothing left, and you're fighting with your demons, and just stuff that everybody can really get with. And let's see, Waiting, that's the last song that I wrote for the album. I think it was one of the last songs I recorded too, and it's same thing. It's just kind of about being in your head and kind of waiting on somebody to come around and, I don't know, kind of get to where you're at. And I mean, we've all been in relationships, either with people that we were in love with or even friendships where you just kind of zig and zag and you just can't quite stay on the same plane, and kind of about that.
Definitely. Yeah.
A lot of those songs are like that. Under the Sun, that's the one that I mentioned. It's a piano song. What's weird about that is, and I don't know if I'm going to tell very many people this, but it's weird. I grew up in a fairly religious, probably all the way up into my mid-30s, I guess. And when I was writing this song, I was going through my second divorce, and I had this old upright piano at where I worked at. And it was my piano, but I had it there. And I bought it from Childers. They had it used for like $50. And the thing was all beat up, and the keys was all messed up at this A, this like third or second A on the bass side. Man, it was just out of tune just the right way, and it sounded so good. Like, I don't know, it just, things inspire you.
Yeah.
And so I'm going through this divorce, and my daughter's 8 years old, and I mean, people can relate. It's like, your life changes, and it's just awful. And I start writing this song, and it's, like I say, it's called Under the Sun, and in the lyrics, when you look at those, the last line, when it says Under the Sun, it's spelled S-O-N. Now, I'm pretty hardcore atheist now. I mean, I'm ordained minister, and I do weddings, and I do funerals too, apparently once in a great while. But and if people want you to pray or whatever, I do that. I respect how everybody wants to believe. I don't believe in any of that. But this song really could be, you could be singing this to God. It could be like Under the Sun, where there's no rain, or it can be Under the Sun, And I just thought it was interesting that even the way I feel about things now, like that's still, I remember where I was at when I wrote this, and I just think that's important. It's just like a snapshot. And I don't know, there's one on here right in the middle, Spider Bite, and I played in a band called Grimstone, and I'll probably mention this at the show. This song, especially in this area, and we've all seen it as we've grown up. I mean, just how drugs have really taken a hold. And man, if you've ever loved somebody that is on drugs, it's just terrible, man. It is just terrible. And I've seen so many people with the whole just let them die mindset, that once it touches them, and now you see, it's not black and white. It's really not.
Yeah.
And I was really, really in love with somebody that just could not get out of that. And I'm playing in this metal band, and, Grimstone was all, Rob Halford vocals, and all this. And my guitar players come up with this music, and I come up with these lyrics, Spider Bite, it's kind of about, it could be track marks or just the signs or whatever. And I mean, it's just like super brutally personal to me. And we do this song, and I love it. And it's, we recorded it. Well, the band stops. We never really broke up, but, we stopped playing. People moved away.
Yeah.
And I was looking at songs for this album, and I'm like, man, I wonder if, it's just such a personal song. And then I come up with kind of an acoustic arrangement for it. And I'm like, well, I guess it's got to go on there. But it's just like, it's you're just bleeding all over everything. You know, it's just kind of, you feel like you're taking your pants off in front of everybody. It's just so raw and right there. But it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. But it's funny because my longtime, musical partner, Chris Crabtree, he's like, if we go to the shows, it's all going to be just like depressing, music. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a lot of it is, but I've tried to adjust the set in such a way and insert the couple covers that I do. So it's not like, that's what I'm saying. Charlie's going to come in here. Charlie's fun and he'll probably take his shirt off and it'll be great. And then I'll get up there and it's like, oh, my heart's broken and the life sucks and I wish I was dead, but I try to keep it a little bit light, so there's a couple other ones on there that's, they're not, I don't know. It's like they're somber and some of them is a little bit upbeat. It just depends on how you look at it, look at the lyrics. And I feel like it's a positive album in as a whole, but I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm just excited to talk to human beings.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
So speaking of Grimstone, I saw on Facebook recently where some pictures of Battle of the Bands popped back up with their questions about the dress. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, Grimstone's the band I was in after the DanHaters, and DanHaters is where I wear the dress.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So the DanHaters come about. I used to be in a band called Millenia. All original metal band back in the 90s. I've mentioned it a couple times here. And Mike Brown was drummer of that band. So he played in a band. Jesus, this is terrible. So he played in a band with a guy named Dan who, we had kind of had a falling out with a little bit at the time due to some different things. My guitar player, Chris Crabtree, played in the DanHaters. He had a kind of falling out with this guy too. And the drummer of the DanHaters happened to play in a band with this Dan. So Chris and Todd and I start playing, and Mike and Dan are hanging out, and Dan says to Mike, hey, I think Paul and Chris are playing with Todd. And off the top of his head, Mike Brown goes, yeah, you know what they're called? The DanHaters. So now we got this DanHaters band. Now, like I said, we had Dan was a guy that we had played music with for a long time. We'd all been friends with for a long time. Like I said, we had a terrible, terrible falling out. But by the time the DanHaters really kind of started writing songs together and playing, we had all patched things up, and Dan is still a great friend to this day, to me, and we're both death metal guys, and so we'll text each other, hey, have you checked out this guy? We really like good death vocalists, So the DanHaters do their first show as a band, as a three-piece. This is for Ryan Coyer, my other longtime musical partner, was in the DanHaters. We do our first show was at the Sherman House with the band that this Dan was in. And I'm sure you know all who I'm talking about, but I'm just trying not to be too specific to bring up, it's like, I got no problem with it either, but I know he's sick of hearing about it, what I mean? So I make the joke that I was going to wear my ex-wife's wedding dress at our first show. So my second ex-wife. And it kind of took a life on its own. It was one of those things where you shoot your mouth off, you don't really think about it. And then everybody starts saying, oh, you're going to wear it. It's getting close. And it was a Halloween. Yeah. And me and my ex-wife had, this is my second ex-wife, we had recently been divorced. We had gotten married on Halloween Eve. So it was like, there was a whole connection there, So it gets close to this show and I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's like, this is crazy. And it's like, but I've painted myself into a corner. So, and I had her dress at the time and I tried it on and I can't fit in the fucking thing. Can you say fuck on here?
Yeah,
okay, good. Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, like what am I going to do now? So I go to Salvation Army and there's this dress hanging up. I can't really fit in it either, but it works really good. And I get this dress and it was just, I don't know. I put this face paint on. It's funny you mentioned that because the face paint has been different for every show and it's symbolic. It's like, it's white face paint with black accents every now and then, just a touch of red. But the black kind of symbolizes tears or miles or just change. It's just whatever. So, and that first show was the only one I ever wore a veil too. I got it hanging up in my band room. But so here I come. Chris Crabtree's playing the wedding march on guitar. I come in through the front entrance of the Sherman House wearing a bass, and nobody even up there even knew there was a show going on outside and on the patio. And there's just this cross-dresser. And I go through the front. Chris is playing the wedding march, and then we do our first show as DanHaters. And then our second show was the Battle of the Bands. Mm-hmm. And this is a true story. I was so sick. I lived up by OUC at the time, like right a block over up on the hill. Yeah. And I'm laying there in bed. It's 4:00. I need to go. I am so sick. Like, I actually considered calling in a bomb threat because I couldn't do it. Like, I didn't know. It's like, how am I, like, that seemed like, that's how sick I was. It made sense.
Yeah, it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah. And like, I could not, I was so sick. God, I could barely talk. I don't know. We went there, we got up on stage, and it was, especially at those times, it was so awesome. The Battle of the Bands up there. Did you guys go?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The first, like, 5 of them. Mm-hmm. Incredible. Like, it was just so awesome. All these bands and all these, like, everybody was better than the next one. Like, it was just awesome.
Yeah.
And we played, and I knew that no one who's going to like that? You know, it's these guys up here dressed up and playing really music that we really loved and we were like serious about. It's metal, but we clearly didn't take everybody was in some kind of a getup. I think those first 2 shows, those guys just like dressed in like black, kind of like the guys in Midnight do now, I think is kind of what it is. But, and then it evolved in time. But then we won. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I think that was like the second annual one that they'd had. I went to the first, I think that was the second. I couldn't believe it. It was just like, you know, and I know one of the other bands I thought was really, really good, and I can't remember the guy who was in that, but he had played in some bands there. He was always kind of a little bit like a cocky guy. And I'm standing there, and he didn't realize I was in that. He's like, I can't believe a guy in a fucking dress, and we didn't win, and blah, blah. And we were just happy to be there. And I think that just come across. And plus, we had logged so many miles playing music together in other bands or playing, you know, Chris and I playing together. It was just, you know, it came across. So then we got to headline it the next year. And then that's what Ryan had joined the band in the meantime, and our makeup and everybody's getup kind of had their own unique thing, and that was cool. And it was like people came to see us, and it was awesome. And then what you're talking about is, I think the following year, Grimstone played, and I knew there was no chance in hell we were going to win. I'd already won in a cross-dressing band, so. And then we end up winning. I'm like, I can't believe it. You know, it's just like, it was awesome just because of just how it was. And then I don't know what happened, but I didn't like when the last few years, it's like they were doing all the Friday bar shows. Well, people were coming out to see you there. They didn't need to come and see a Saturday? I think that kind of.
Yeah, they did the rock around the block.
Yeah. And it's a great concept, but it sucked. You know what I mean? MG Flash did it. And it's like, it took away from the event, in my opinion. And it just wasn't as, I don't know, you got people that want to go out and drink or older people. Hey, I can go here and I can stop at the bank or Cardo's or whatever the fuck it was called at the time. I can come and see them there. And, you know, you want everybody to come up there so they have to be exposed to the other bands and so they can see what's going on. And I don't know. That's just.
It kind of like gave it away before the night.
Yeah,
before
exactly.
The big night, yeah.
It's kind of like, for me, I mean, it's like, Paul Pollard is just so, I mean, he's a local fucking legend and hero in this town, you know, and to music, and I've just always looked up to him so much. But I feel like with Rock for Tots sometimes, I almost wish they'd do a 2-nighter for that and just have like one band while the auctions and stuff is going on, have the other band, because it's like the longer, it's like when I was a kid, younger, when we were playing it, it was like there was more of a set time and you could see more of the bands. And then now lately it's like you're just trying to cram so much in. None of the bands kind of get a chance to really show off what they're doing. And there's just so much. And I always thought, man, it would be great if they would just save a couple items for that side or for the Friday and just have mostly the bands and then just have like 2 bands on the Saturday and have that. So it's more of a showcase. But, and I kind of think that's what happened with the battle. It just got too condensed and too spread out in other ways. And, but it's just nice that anything is going on where you can go and see live music and play at this point. So,
yeah. So what all, I know you've been with MG Flash, DanHaters, Millenia, Grimstone. What other bands have you been in?
Crucible of Hate was another band that I was in for quite a while. I was one of the founding members of that band. They were mostly out of Lancaster, death metal. I was I dressed up in Dr. Scrubs and I took my grandson's bloody handprints and put all over him, and I called myself Dr. Abortion. Now, I wasn't an abortion doctor. That just like John Carpenter can't work on wood, I just happened to be an OBGYN that had an unfortunate last name. So, and I was wearing, and this is before the pandemic, and I would wear a surgical mask, and it's kind of like a nod to Dr. Funk from, Prince, the keyboard player. Remember, he always dressed up in doctor stuff. And it was just weird because I was I'm kind of sick of dressing up in bands, but I can't stop for some reason. And like, we weren't a theatrical band. So you got this band, it's all a bunch of middle-aged metalheads. And then me in bloody Dr. Scrubs and spitting blood and a mask and doing my thing. But it was a good time. Those guys they wanted to get a little more, they were getting ready to record a record. And I just kind of knew that I wasn't going to be able to put the time that they felt like that I would have to put into it. And I guess we agreed that I should go. So some people agreed more than I should have, more than I did maybe. But no, it was amicable, and they're all still real good friends. But it's just like they wanted to practice every Saturday. I'm like, I'm not fucking practicing every Saturday. At that time, I was working evening shift. I only had 2 days free a week. I didn't need to practice that much to play bass to that. I was soloing a lot, and I was playing fretless through distortion. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. That band, and they're great, and they just put out a new album. They're fantastic. So
sweet.
If you haven't checked them out, check them out.
I'll check them out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's see here.
Had something. Am I remembering right? Have you done stand-up comedy?
No, hell no. No, the thing is we've joked about that a lot, and Ryan used to all the time. He'd be like, yeah, we ought to go up there and we ought to try to do this. I was like, dude, I'm only funny to people that get my inside jokes. I'm not really that.
I don't know why that I thought that you did stand up. I don't know. I just started doing stand up, so
yeah, well,
it's kind of on my mind. So
how does that make you feel? I mean, because it's like I get up there, I get a guitar in front of me, or a bass, or a band to hide behind. I mean, you're just it's up here talking to people.
Yeah, and I'm not much of a talker as I'm doing a podcast,
Right.
But it's just something that's I'm trying to bring myself out of my comfort zone. So, but yeah, it's scary. I mean, writing your own stuff and trying to remember it, and it's scary, but it's fun.
I totally get it. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day. It's like, artists and musicians, and they think that you're so outgoing and that you really like talking. The fucking part I hate is in between the songs. And see, now I don't have that. I'm good at like saying a couple things and then that's it. And then now I'm expected to talk in between songs. No one's paying to hear that. They want to hear music, and it's fucking terrifying, man. It's like, I don't want to do that. I want to just play my music and be done. And you're shy, but what people don't realize is that, your stage, it's kind of an armor, and your guitar and your music, and, your audience is kind of, they've come to see you most of the time, or they know you're going to be there. So it's like you having a slight advantage because you have that. And it's not like just, showing up on the street. Like sometimes you don't know how somebody might get out and beat the hell out of it because they don't like that song. But it's you just kind of take on another persona, and then you get done, and then now you're out amongst a bunch of people, and you don't really like being around people, and you don't really know how to take a compliment or whatever. And people just don't. It just blows people's minds because they're like, well, you went up there and you did this, or you gave this speech, or, it's like, it's an act, man. I'm just a shy guy that has an inferiority complex and is insecure. But you get up there and you're larger in life and you got that fucking bass and you know that you're the baddest motherfucker that ever lived. And you think that, and you have to think that to get up there. But it's when you start believing that when you get off stage is when you start having trouble,
Yep.
When's your next show?
I am doing an open mic. Well, actually, my next show is OUC on Tuesday. I'm taking a class with Lori Graves.
Oh, awesome.
I did last year. I did like the beginning comedy, and then this one is expanding on 5 minutes. So I'm up to like 8-10 minutes, something like that.
Really?
So
that's a lot of
Tuesday.
time, man. People don't. It sounds like nothing. That is a lot of fucking time when you're just standing there and you're just doing your thing, man. That's impressive.
I did a couple weeks ago. She did a show at the Majestic, and I did that show for Raise the Roof. Yeah, to put a roof on the Majestic to raise funds. So and it was sold out. So I got up there in front of 500 some people doing 5 minutes. So
how much of it do you remember? It's a blur, ain't it? You just don't even. It just goes so fast. Yeah, and I could only see like the first couple rows. Oh yeah, the rest of it's just black. I find that's easier in playing. Honestly, it's like the more people there are, the easier it is because it just becomes a mass of humanity. When you play these shows, and I can remember when Millenia was trying to pay for our album. We played the Stardust every month. That was our money gig, and we had to play Friday and Saturday. And Friday there'd be 5 people in there, and it's just fucking terrible. And they're just looking at you, and you can. It's like, well, that's John, and that's Kim, and that's some fucking dude I don't know, and here we are. It's just so like you're just so self-conscious. But when you got that sea of people, it's like you can't pick anybody out, and you're in your zone and you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden the set's over, and it's like, oh my God, that was cool.
Yeah. What's the largest show you've played?
Largest show, we played a couple sold out shows at the Alrosa, which is one of my favorite places to play ever. Yeah. With Jackal and MG Flash. We in Millenia we played some really big shows. But I don't know what the sold out capacity was back then. I think that was in the late 90s, but one of our most memorable shows that we all used to talk about, we got to open for Overkill, and it was just incredible. And they said, you can do whatever you want. No strobes, no fog. So we had good lights and great sound, and it was awesome, man. I don't know if I remember from pictures or from being there, but is just all these metalheads, and they were in there, and I think we played with them again, and some of the people thought that we were like on tour with them or something, but we weren't. We just and this is when you could go up there and play, and it wasn't like the business model is now, like they're trying to do it, something like the King of Clubs, which is an awesome venue. I recommend it highly to go. Great place to see a show, but you can't play there because they want you to buy tickets, and we had we don't buy tickets. We'll sell tickets, but we don't. That's not how that works. You know what I'm saying?
The band has to buy tickets?
Yeah. You got to buy X amount of tickets. Okay. And that's why a lot of times they'll have you'll see a lot of the same 3 bands that are on a lot of those shows. And it sucks, man. We used to do a lot of shows with CEG. I don't know if you guys remember them, but they were promotion group. They used to, Mary Kaufman and can't remember her husband's name. Damn it. Mary and her husband, they used to own the Park Avenue. I don't know if you remember that, but it was kind of a rival bar to the Alrosa, and they used to have, the Alrosa would get Pantera before they were real big, but then, the Park Avenue would have Crowbar then, so they would have a lot of these up and coming. I saw a ton of bands there, and great place. But when they closed down, they just started doing promotions. And Rick at Del Rosa, he tried this buying ticket thing there for a while. And I mean, a lot of bands just wasn't having it. And we stopped kind of playing there for a while. And then CEG started like doing shows there. So Rick wouldn't have the risk of having to book these nationals. He could sell the alcohol and everything, but the CEG would come in and promote the show and do all that. Well, fuck, man, we made a ton of money. They would let us, we would sell tickets, and then we'd get a percentage of the tickets. But we weren't on the hook and they knew that we didn't know every person that liked our band. That's kind of the whole fucking point. You know, I'm not in the ticket selling business.
Right.
I'm in the rock and roll business. That's what Ryan always used to say, you know, and it's the truth. And we wanted MG Flash wanted to play with Texas Hippie Coalition, and Jackal was playing up there again. But it was like, and we probably could have sold them. It wasn't a whole lot, but it's just kind of a principle thing. I'm not gonna be on the hook for, you know, $300, $400, $500 worth of tickets, and then if something happens or whatever, I got people that's going to come through the door to come to see me, you know. And I don't know. It's just I wish. I mean, I'm never going to fucking play there, but I mean, I wish bands would just take a stand and stop doing that. But I get it. I mean, it's a fucking great place. I mean, they got good food. It's got good sound. I was just up there a couple weeks ago, seeing Flaw and Raw and Union Underground and Soil. Great show, man. It's a great venue, but it's usually the same 5 local bands on all the shows because they were going to buy the tickets. And so I don't know. I went off on a tangent there, but it's just
that's cool.
It's just, I don't know. I've never been about money when it's come to music. I've never, it's never been the foremost thing. But if money is going to be made, I want some of it.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
And CEG treated us great. Always treated us good, and we sold tickets, and they always paid us well. I mean, it was good. And back in the day, we did some headline shows at Del Rosa before Rick started, you know, going to the ticket model, and we made good money, and we packed the bar, you know. So it can be done. I get it too. You know, it's hard. The businesses are hard, and they're trying to hedge their bets, and they're trying to sell tickets. You can't fault them for that, but I don't know. It doesn't do you any good as a fan to go and see the same 3 local bands every time either. So
yeah. I've always wondered, because I know you were in Millenia. Were you a founding member of Millenia? Okay.
Yep. Only bass player they ever had.
Yeah.
And then so what's interesting, that band started in 93, I think, and then we were I forget how I actually met those guys through my second ex-wife. Before we were even together, we were just friends, and we were music fans, and she knew those guys, and I'm a little bit younger than all those guys, and they had already played in bands. That was my first band I'd ever really been in. I jammed like once or twice with some other people, and I'd never really been in a band. As a matter of fact, I went to the audition, and they scheduled 2 guys to play at the same time. They used to play out in Andersonville in this old dilapidated barn. That was the drummer's, Mike's. And I come out there, and I got my headless Steinberger that I'd had, and, you know, I was playing 4-string then, and I was getting ready, and this guy comes in, Andrew Church. He used to play in HSOD, and I didn't know him. Like, I wasn't really part of I wasn't part of the scene. Like, all these guys had all been playing music for a long time, and I had been playing along with Black Sabbath and Metallica at home, but they scheduled fucking 2 guys at the same time to play bass, and this motherfucker pulls his bass out and starts going on the fucking bass. I'm like, hey, I forgot I gotta pick up my sister. I didn't even talk to my sister at the time, so it's like, I fucking left. I mean, I was fucking intimidated as fuck. You know, this guy, I mean, this dude had fucking long hair, and he looked fuck cool, and had stickers all over his bass case, and he just fucking ripped it up. And I'm like, well, fuck this. You know, I guess, I mean, what am I going to do? So I left, and then they had called, and they asked me to come back out. And I apparently he had, jacked off too much. You know what I mean? He was playing too much. I didn't know enough. I wasn't that good. So I guess they were like, well, that guy's got his own equipment and he seems like that he can, we can mold him a little bit. And I was just a bass player at the time, and it was me and Tim Throckmorton and Devin Shoemaker, who's he's works in the city planning office or some shit now.
Yeah.
He was a singer, and Mike Brown was the drummer. And then it's funny because we were talking about getting a lead guitar player, and Ryan Coyer played in a cover band called High Street.
Yeah.
And I knew him he was dating my ex-wife's sister, and I knew of him, and I had talked to him on the phone, and he actually put me in contact with Mike or Devin, whoever it was, when I had my first audition. But I didn't really know him, and Ryan used to joke with me because I was like, well, they were talking about getting him in the band. I'm like, well, are we going to audition him, or what are we going to do? And it's like, well, no, we're just going to get Ryan in the band. And I didn't know him, and that just didn't seem like how things should work. I didn't know. Next thing I know, he was playing with us, and then that was the band. That was Millenia. That was what we call our Mark I lineup. And we thought we were so heavy, and you can find the tracks here. I mean, we recorded with Bobo. I can't remember his first name. No, not Brian. Brian's a tattoo artist. I can't remember. He runs sound and stuff out in Roxabelle. And John Bobo. Yeah. We recorded my first time in a recording studio, and we recorded this little 4-song demo. And then we brought that out here, and we started recording with Kim Swan, who was out here. And now we're recording them. And like I said, we thought we were so heavy, but we were kind of like, a cross between Skid Row and old Metallica in a way. And we played with every band we played with in Columbus. At the time, they sound like Pantera. Like all the bands sound like Pantera, and we thought we were so heavy. We were always the lightest band on all these bills. And then something changed, and then all the bands in Columbus started sounding like Korn a lot. Like there was just a lot of that new metal influence. Like everybody, like overnight, went from sounding like, not everybody, but the big part of the scene went from sounding like Pantera to really like Korn influenced. And we, we parted ways with Devin, and we didn't have a singer, and we searched for a singer for about 8 months, couldn't find one. And then Ryan and I decided, well, we both sing backups, and Ryan had sang lead in bands before, and I seemed like I might be able to, so we decided to sing. And then Tim left, and we brought Chris Crabtree in. That's the main lineup of Millenia, and we did 2 albums out here, and I love it, and it's still one of that band just is everything to me. That was the first band I was ever in. I recorded 2 CDs and then 2 demos, and was in for like 10 years. Who else gets to do that? It's pretty cool. And those guys, it's funny because all those guys were like light years ahead of me talent-wise when we started, and that's what you need. And that's what I always tell young musicians. It's like, find somebody better than you and play with them. Yeah, definitely. Because that's what's going to push you. And I was always trying to keep up, but it didn't stop me. The first song that we ever had that they played on the Blitz for the local stuff, it had a bass lead in it. It's like, I'm doing bass leads. It's like, I'm not that great. Like, it's funny but I just force myself into doing it. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I certainly went on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Millenia, man, it was great because it was like, I'd heard of Epitaph, and that was before I knew Brent Beavers and Brent Beaver and Greg Fee and those guys, and Quillen, Quillen, one of the baddest bassists to ever live. And I'd always hear stories about them, and those guys started the metal scene here. Epitaph, they were the metal band, and then we were always like the next band to kind of do it. And bars wasn't having metal back then. We had to book our own shows at the Elks. Yeah. Remember doing that in the basement? And everybody would take turns renting it because you never get your deposit back because it would be trashed. And and then the bars started taking notice. Well, maybe we can have original music in some of these bars. And then we were playing the Stardust, or we were playing Anderson's. Man, it was great. It's like, you can't do that. And there ain't no place to play in town. No. It sucks, man. It's like, but I'm proud of the fact that I was one of the OG metal guys here. And not because of me, but because of our band and our friends and the other bands that we had, and we would bring all these out of town bands from wherever, and people. I mean, bands from Toledo was coming down to play with us at the Stardust or one of these other little places. Man, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it was just such a great time there in the mid to late 90s for metal and music and stuff around here. And the bars made a shit ton of fucking money. It didn't have to be, when Anderson's was playing, it was always funny because there was always like this weird quasi rivalry between Dallas, which was the big country cover band here, and us, because Dallas would play one weekend and they would get more people in the door, and then we'd play the next weekend and we would have a little less people, but the bar would sell more alcohol. So it was like, but that's how it was back then. And it was great. And I mean, those guys were awesome. And we would go and watch them play because every one of those guys in that band, killer fucking players, but it's country. And then we're playing original metal. And it just showed that you didn't have to do the 3-set bar thing, or you could do whatever you want. And there was a ton of great cover bands in this town then too. And you could go to, the dock was called Mariah's back then. You could go there, you could go different places, see all these great bands. And it's just like, unless you're just doing an acoustic thing, it's kind of hard to play. There's no place to really put on a show. Wagners outside, like what we're doing, you can have a band there. The Poorhouse, we did a MG Flash, one of our last shows. We did an excellent show there. It has a nice stage and kind of decent setup if they move a few things around. Yeah. But where else can you go in town and put on a show now? I mean, Cardo's is gone. Anderson's is long gone. Stardust is long gone. You can't put on a show, right. And it's an event. It's got to be an event. You play your originals, you play your stuff that people don't get to hear every day, and then you go home. It's not something that you can sustain and play every night here, because that's not the kind of band you are. That's not the kind of music you're doing. There's other bands that do that, Yeah.
I mean, that's something we talk about all the time, that there's no
place. Like the bank used to be a good place to do that.
Yeah, because we used to do these, what we call them?
The
Ohio Vibe Showcase.
Undiscovered Artist Showcases.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
We did it at...
we did Metal Mania one year. And
where the Children's Museum is now.
Yeah, we did.
We played there too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The Backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we done a couple there, and we done a couple with the bank.
Yeah.
And used to have a lot of fun putting those on.
You used to be able to go in the Cardo's, the bank, First Capital Music, all the same place. You used to be able to go in there, and you go in there on a Thursday or Friday night. You didn't really need to know what was going on. You go in there and there'd be somebody playing. There'd be something going on, and it'd be cool, and you could hang out. And the biggest part, it's like Tara. She's got a great place there, Steiner's. Awesome place. But Slipknot can't play on there.
Right.
Now, the outside patio in the summer, you could have a band out there. You can do some stuff. That's the thing. It's like either the bar is not set up for it, or the owner's not cool. You know what I mean? And Tara's awesome. That'd be a great place, but there's no way to get a band in there. Not a metal band.
Yeah.
We just need, I don't know, does anybody know what is going in where the men's shop used to be? It's supposed to be some kind of concert hall, they're saying, but I can't find any information about it.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I haven't heard anything, no.
All I know is they've spent more money than I'll ever see renovating that. And I guess that used to have like jazz and stuff like back in the old days.
Yeah, I think they have like a ballroom on the second floor or one of those floors above. Yeah.
But I just get the feeling that I'm just trying not getting my hopes up. I mean, they're not going to let me play there with my metal bands. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like that, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, there's enough. What was it? Something just went out. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, that would be a good place, but I can't remember how my mind just goes sometimes. Must have been all the chemo. But I know that Daniel Griesheimer, Ohio Creation's been working on trying to get the old printing building there.
Oh, where Craftsman was?
No, or the back behind.
It's the one that where
runs
the railroad
by the-
tracks used to be. It runs
behind the antique malls.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Craftsman.
Is that Craftsman?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's trying to get
That's
that.
awesome.
And he said that they was gonna be able to do concerts in there if everything rolls right.
Yeah.
Which we're like kind of hoping it does.
Yeah, that reminds me. I totally forgot the antique place was doing concerts.
Yes,
too. I
they
remember
did.
that.
What was that?
Yeah.
Something middle grounds
Yeah, I think it
or
was.
middle something. Yeah, they did. They had a lot of Christian
Yeah.
bands in there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Forgot
that was
all
a
about
good
that.
place to do stuff too. But-
it's funny. Well, see, I went off on a tangent talking about renting the Elks out, and that's kind of that started, and then we had a really good scene. We could make money. We could play. We could bring out town bands. It was awesome.
Mhm.
Well, and then it feels like now, like the last couple of years, it's kind of went back to that, and we did in MG Flash. We did a lot of really good shows at Creekside Occasions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome venue,
Yeah.
awesome owners, and
Yeah.
it's just a good
I worked
spot.
for one of them.
Oh, really?
At
Oh.
First Capital Realty.
Oh, okay.
Bethany. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And like, I'm just so grateful we were able to do that. And then we did our last show there too, our tribute show to Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a great spot. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
they're not, they need that place to do weddings and make money off of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like it's hard, I was going to do my show out there originally, but
Yeah.
they were booked that date. So
Well, and then Blaine Highway, Heroes, the bar, the Heroes Pub used to be Gibson's, and then it was Accords.
Yeah.
They've got a kind of a decent looking stage
Yeah.
set up in there.
played there,
know.
played
Yeah.
there in Grimstone a couple times.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
played there, and
Played there in
One of
MG
our
Flash when
bands.
they did the outside thing. Remember when they were doing
Yep.
outside shows? And
Yeah, they still
had
got-
that trailer with
the
the.
trailer's still sitting there. That wouldn't be a bad spot if somebody could.
Yeah,
And I mean, there's possibilities. It's just like you said, you got to see if the owners are up for it.
yeah, and
But-
it's a risk. I mean, there's always a risk, and you got to have something where it's people. You can't sustain that every weekend a lot of times, and you have to know that, and you have to have a place where you can have low overhead and have the event.
Mhm.
Then people can make a lot of money on their alcohol, or a place like that with food.
Yep.
It can be a mutually beneficial and lucrative thing for all involved, but it's got to be the right. It's too much for a place like the Poorhouse or some of these places downtown where I'm sure that the overhead is just out of sight.
Mhm.
They can't sustain having bands
Right.
like ours in there every weekend.
Right. But I mean, the possibilities of doing something if we could get the right venue,
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
You just need a spot, a stage, and I mean, honestly, you got to have a place where you can serve alcohol because people want to go out and they want to drink and they want to have a good time. There are places and times when you can do that without that, but oftentimes it's just they try to do that. It's a non-starter.
you know what would be kind of cool? I don't know how many of us left or would be willing to do it, but do a flashback one to the 90s, some of the early,
Oh yeah,
like, because when the music scene was hitting,
oh yeah,
that would be kind of,
yeah.
if you could get enough of them that would want to do it.
It'd be a blast.
I've heard rumblings that they're working on stuff here at the Rec W.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It would be like an outside thing, but
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to be part of it. We're actually, I've been focusing on this show and this solo thing, but after that, there's I got like 3 unreleased recordings of some Grimstone stuff. I got a version of Painkiller that we used to do live that I recorded out here, but I happened to be sick that day too, and the vocals are, like, to say they were terrible would be the understatement of the year. I mean, it is just bad. I just knew I was just doing it as a placeholder, but I got all the basic tracks from it. I'm going to like to come out here and re-record the vocals and put that on the album.
Sweet.
And then we'd like to do a show at the end of the year because Chris will be back. Chris will be back for my show. My bass player, Chris Seymour, is bass player in Grimstone. he moved to Florida, and that's kind of why the band stopped playing.
Mhm.
And we've been talking when he comes back for the next visit, if there's a show somewhere we can jump on, we'd like to, because the rest of us can get together and kind of rehearse. And, Chris is super active in Florida playing in cover bands and stuff,
Yeah.
killer bass player.
Yeah.
I always joke he was the best bass player I ever played with, but he's also the only bass player I ever played with. So I've always played bass in every band I was in except for that one. So, but I think it'd be fun to do those songs. And I did my printing for this disc through Atomic Disc, and we did the first MG Flash through them. I think we did the second one. I cannot remember, but I've just always been real happy with them. And you can get a lot of bang for your buck and get a lot of. It was real important for me to have enough panels to have all the lyrics, because the lyrics are all real personal and to me, and you don't really get that with. I mean, we're all kind of a little bit old school. I still buy CDs, and CDs actually made an uptick apparently in sales in 2021 or 22, which is kind of surprising.
That was me.
Yeah, dude, I like having the physical medium.
Yeah.
I like looking at it, and then I burn it, and then I listen to I put it on a thumb drive, and then that way it don't get scratched or whatever. And I have it, or I rip it as the WAV. I mean, I hate to sound like one of these fucking guys, but the WAV files just sound so much better than MP3s, man. It just it's got more. This thing fucking slaps in a car, especially if the bassist guitar in this is so low. Like in a car stereo, this sounds really fucking good. And it's like the little tinny MP3 through your fucking headphones. It's just not the same.
Right.
But I'd like to do a disc with the bonus tracks for Grimstone, and then do a little show. So we'll see. I mean, we got time, but I got to see. We're going to talk about it because it'll probably be the first time all the Grimstone guys have been in a room together in a couple years, probably. Like most of us at one time or another, when Chris has been here to visit, has all made it, but I don't think all of us has all been in the room at the same time. So we'll probably see. He comes back maybe in late summer or early fall. We'll try, and there's a show somewhere we can jump on. We'll probably try to do that. So.
Cool.
Be cool. Yep. But yeah, that was something on one of these podcasts I was wanting to try to do, is get some of the old bands together and see how many of them you could get together and just do a podcast series. Just
that's cool. Yeah,
a few of those just to see how that worked out.
I've met so many people just through music, and it's given me all my major milestones is music. And it was like, I mean, I went on some tangents about pay to play and some other things, and the lack of places to play. And I don't want it to sound negative, because it's not. You just have to change. You just, you have to reach people through social media, or your marketing plan is different. It's just, I don't want to be one of these old bastards where it's like, well, back in my day. But at the same time, we did live in a time that it's gone, and I think instead of necessarily lamenting the fact that it's gone, it's appreciating what you had and then seeing what you can do on the next. And like I said, everything that I have, I mean, my daughter, I can really even trace to, if it wasn't for music, her mother and I would never have become friends. And really a couple of the significant places that I've worked been through guys that I played music with, and they worked there, and so I looked into it a little bit more. My closest friends, my brothers, man, they were people I played music with. So it's like, it's just given me so much, and I feel a responsibility to try to do the best that I can when I perform, or when I put music out, or if I'm here talking to you guys about music. It's like there's you owe it that, you owe it the gravity that it is, because it's just given me so much. So I just never want to lose that feeling of being grateful, if that makes any sense. So
definitely, yeah. I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Even when you're a kid, you listen to music, and it's like, we all got everybody's had a bad childhood or had bad experiences. Your dad hugged you too much. Your dad didn't hug you enough. Your dad hit you too much. He didn't hit you enough. You got that. And I have my own story and my own stuff. And I worked a lot of that out in my metal band. So I don't have to work that out anymore. Now I'm working out having my heart broken 8 million fucking times or whatever. But, you listen to music and you go into it and you look at the liner notes or, and you read your comic books and you do all this stuff and you escape and music starts with that. And then you become a musician or you don't, and you still love, like I know so many people, they just love music. And it's like, there was a point in my life when you don't understand how somebody can love music as much as you because you're playing it. I'm playing it. You're not playing it. You're listening to it. You don't, but then you get back and you remember how much music meant to you before you started playing it and analyzing every fucking note and hearing the riff. And I don't know, I think all musicians go through that. It's like, there's a point when you've been playing 10, 15 years and then you start to be able to enjoy music as a listener anymore. You can listen to it and you don't think, oh, that bass riff was tricky. That was, what's he doing there? Oh, what did he do there? You still notice that stuff, but you appreciate it for what it is. It don't have to, because my instrument's bass, the bass player don't have to necessarily be killing it. The song has to be good. It's like, it gives you a feeling. It's in your DNA. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm glad that I've got back to a point in my life when I can just listen to music. I don't have to understand it. There's a lot of music I listen to. I can't play country, and there's some country comes on, I like it, and I don't understand. I don't have to understand it. I don't understand jazz. I listen to it. It's like, I know if I like it or not, or if I know if it's noise, but I don't have to analyze it. You don't have to understand it. You just have to know how it makes you feel. It don't matter what genre it is. It's
right.
I don't know.
Music's always been a therapy for me. I mean, either listening to it or playing it, it doesn't matter. Got me through a lot of rough stuff growing up, listening to music. And then when I started playing the bands, I was like, well, this is a way I can get what's in here I need to get out without being destructive or taking the wrong turn or whatever. You just use it to get yourself through it mentally, and and it works.
It's therapy, man. I've saved a lot of money on psychiatrists by by doing that. You can look at in the Millenia songs and the Grimstone songs and the ones that I wrote, and you can see it's like, all right, well, this guy's mad at his dad, or this guy's got some hurt feelings, or this guy might be a little bit off or whatever, and you work through those things, man, and then you're able to, you can move on a lot of times. Sometimes you still need more therapy. I mean, that does, don't get me wrong, but it's just I don't know. And it's funny because I read an article one time and they were, CDs were starting to get more expensive, and they were charging $22 for CDs. I remember at the height, it was getting crazy. Yeah. And it's like, the guy said, so how much did you pay for that DVD? This is before Blu-rays were out. It's like, Blu-rays or DVDs were like $25. It's like, how many times are you going to watch that movie? And I think, well, like The Road Warrior is probably one of my most watched movies ever, and I've watched it probably 10 times or whatever. But generally, people, how many times do you rewatch a movie normally? 3 times, maybe 4 times. Yeah. And then you take a CD, and the guy said, something that becomes the soundtrack to your life that you listen to over and over and over again, and you balk at the thought of spending $20 fucking on a disc. It's like, man. It's like that hit me like a ton of bricks because, I'm a musician. I didn't want to pay $20 fucking for somebody's CD, but it's like they're not charging enough for CDs. But I'm only charging 10 for mine. But it's just when you really think about that, and you think about the albums, like your favorite albums, and how many times you've listened to them, and if you compare it to a movie, and you had to have that Blu-ray with all the extra stuff, and how many times have you watched it? You spent $35 on it or something, and you watched it twice. You can't put it's a shame that the arts and and out of all the arts, it always seems like music is like the least
Valued.
Valued. It's the least valued, and it's the most important one a lot of times, you know, not discounting anybody else's talent or the art, but you listen to music all the time. I mean, you listen to it in your car, you listen to it when you clean the house, you listen to it when you're sad, when you're happy. They play fucking music at your funeral. Yeah. They play music at your wedding. You're not watching the goddamn Road Warrior at your wedding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or Office Space, or Tropic Thunder, or, you know what I mean? Some of my favorite movies, or Star Wars, I've seen a million times. It's like, you're not doing that. You're listening to music, man. And what are we doing here? You know, what are we doing? Why are we undervaluing this? That's not me as a musician, because I don't consider what this is me as a fan and as a music lover, and what music has done, and music saved my life, you know. I don't know. Yep. Well, we got deep on there. No, it's true though. It's just,
definitely.
You just don't really think about it. You just take it for granted. You take it for granted. And I don't know.
Where can people pick up your CD or listen to your music?
It'll be on the streaming services here probably. I don't know if I get it before the release or not, but probably by the end of April, it'll be on there. I'm mostly focusing on kind of cornering the game right now, but I'm gonna. Yeah. I haven't talked to. I got some of my. There was some Crucible of Hate and MG Flash stuff at Apollo Records, and I haven't talked to Jesse, but I'm sure you'll be able to after April 6th. You should be able to go in there Monday and get it. I'm sure he'll let me have him there. Awesome. He'll like the free plug, but I'm gonna take some in for him. So there'll be a local spot if you don't make the show.
Yeah.
And can't pick it up there. And then, like I said, it'll be on streaming, it'll be on YouTube and all that stuff. I'll make a post about it, but I'm just kind of doing it old school right now, and just doing the physical medium for the show. And I'm playing every single song on there except for Got No Fire. That's the one I couldn't figure out a way to do an acoustic version of that. Believe it or not, I'm not very good at singing and playing at the same time, so I got to work out a little bit. And I've done it in a lot of bands, but it's just, I'm pretty good at faking it, but it's kind of hard when it's just, I don't have two guitar players to hide behind like I'm used to. And, but I couldn't figure out a way to do that. And the first one's got a lot of instrumentation on it, on the run. I figured out a way to kind of bastardize it and get through it. So Sweet. It'll be fun. I'm playing the piano too. And I don't play the piano. So, I mean, I know I did on this record, but that's like the only song I do a couple of things on there. It's like I'm not a piano player. I'm just kind of a bass guy that kind of transposes some stuff. So, and this will probably be the only show I ever do that song live. So, I mean, it's going to be fun, and I'm going to fuck up, and it's just going to be an intimate thing with friends, and, you know, talking about my goofy songs and doing this thing. And I'm just really excited and proud of it. And I hope people like it. And then Matt Elkins come up with the cover, the logo. Mm-hmm. He's designed the Grimstone logo as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, okay. Cool.
He's been a long time friend and musician. So
sweet.
Pretty proud of it. And see, I'm a junior. I was going to go by my full name, but it's kind of cool because you got the P and the R, and you kind of got a J in there too. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of got the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. So, I wanted to get it out before I died, so I think I may have done. At least the CDs are out there. They're in my basement if something happens, so make sure they get out there. But you just never know. I mean, you just never know. We've all lost friends, and you get older, and I mean, like you say, you talk about health problems, and I had a motorcycle wreck in 16, and it changed my life. It just. I was a quarter inch away from having my brain splattered all over the road. I still hit my head on the road pretty good. I'm not quite as quick as I used to be, but I just feel like every day since then is just bonus time. And what do you got to be scared of? You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I went through cancer. He's going through cancer.
Yeah, I'm going through it right now.
So we both have our outlooks have changed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
realize what's important to you when
Yeah.
you're looking at something like that, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, it's like, man, I've been wanting to do this. Been wanting to try to do this. Well, you know what? Now it's time to do it.
Yeah.
Don't keep putting it off till tomorrow, because tomorrow's never guaranteed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what are you waiting for? You know?
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
I
Right.
love it. I've become less tolerant in life too. It's like, I don't feel, if I don't like you, I just tell you. It's like, look, life's short. I don't want to deal with you. I don't like you. It's like, why am I going to waste my time doing niceties? You
Yeah.
know, you go I'm wasting your time. You're wasting my time. And and you tell people that you love them. Tell people you hate, and you just go
Just
on.
go on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, man, again, thanks for being on.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you
it.
guys. Love it.
All right. Well, don't forget to check out Paul Remy on April 6th at his debut of his album on at Wagners. And what time's the show again?
Charlie's going to go on about 7:50, and then I'm going to go on about 9. And I mean, I got, if I stretch it, I got an hour. I
Okay.
play all my songs and my covers, depending on how much I talk in between. I got a good solid hour, and then it's going to be an event. It's not a marathon show, and
Yeah.
I'm older and it's getting past my bedtime, you know. So
Right.
I think we need to start bringing back more matinee shows. We've been talking about that.
Yeah.
How come you can't go and watch Crowbar somewhere play it at 2 p.m. on a Sunday?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's going to be a fun time. Charlie Mandaring's awesome. Come out and see him. And Wagner's is a great place. We're going to be playing on patio. They have excellent wings. I got to try to make sure I don't eat the wings until after I get done playing. As you can hear, I'm still having a little bit of trouble with my voice, so it's going to be interesting. But I got enough time to get it. So, but if I eat the hot wings, it's not going to be a good situation. So,
All right.
Cool. All right.
So,
all right. Well, we've all said bye. Now
Yes.
we're all looking at each other.
I
It's
know.
very awkward. I feel very awkward right now.
We should keep trying to end it, and it won't end.
It's like we need the Oscar music. It's like, Jesus Christ. I'm locked in this room, and I don't know what to do.
You're trapped.
Awesome.
shit.
All right. I'm hitting stop.